angini namalungelo ngilwa nobusa amalungelo noma yilekeza ukuthi ngiphathe ngalendlela angini namalungelo ngilwa nemkhulu usuthini ukuthi nafunda naye yangithatha lendawo usuthini phakathi kothando lwami naye.
Hey, Pugumuzi Lutuli, Amalungelo, Eshe. This is Channel Africa, making sure that we give you that African tune every now and then. You are listening to On the Move with myself, Benjamin Mushatama, and Palesa Tau. We're going to move into another conversation. I'm intrigued by this one. Things can be left unsaid. What does that do to you when you just remain silent over time? Does it shape your identity? Does it cause harm in your relationships? But most importantly, how do you navigate life if everything is bottled in? We're going to be looking at the power of speaking the unspeakable, the cost of staying silent, and the freedom that can emerge when you finally tell the truth. We're going to be speaking to an executive producer and author who's written about this one, and there are a lot of things that can be unsaid. I'm one of those guys. I just keep mum. There's just some things I just like, you know what? Yeah, it's not necessary.
Let's leave this one alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes, actually, I remember finding out some kind of research. I'll actually look at what it actually is. That keeping things to yourself over time. It was actually a study about women.
Sure.
That the amount of things that women keep to themselves over time actually contribute quite a lot to their later in life illnesses and diseases. Illnesses, physical illnesses.
Like what? I wonder.
And diseases.
I wonder what kind of disease.
So I'll look that research up again, and I'll give you that. But the build up actually affects more than your emotions. Your emotions affect your physical body more than you think.
Yeah, you need to give us more on that one, because
will.
That's very intriguing. So we'll be speaking about speaking up, letting go of the silence, and is that a form of self-care in itself? That's what's coming up on the show. Right now, before we get into that conversation, it's 10 o'clock Central African time. Let's get the latest news.
SABC News. The African perspective.
Top stories: Asawa Robert Mugabe mentioned in the Epstein files, and South Africa's Minister of Health raises concerns about cervical cancer. Good morning. I'm Jolani Tulo Wepe. Zimbabwe's ex-president Robert Mugabe may have had financial ties with Jeffrey Epstein, according to the last batch of files related to the convicted U.S. sex offender. In an email exchange from 2015 with Japanese entrepreneur Joy Ito, the disgraced financier suggested they approach then-President Robert Mugabe to provide Zimbabwe with a new currency after the local dollar collapsed because of hyperinflation. Mugabe is the second African leader to be mentioned in the Epstein files after former South African President Jacob Zuma. Tunisian police have arrested lawmaker Ahmed Saidani in what appears to be part of an escalating crackdown on critics of President Kais Saied. Saidani has recently become known for his fierce criticism of Saied. On Tuesday, he mocked the president in a Facebook post describing him as the supreme commander of sewage and rainwater drainage, blasting what he said was the absence of any achievements by Saied. Saidani was elected as a lawmaker at the end of 2022 in a parliamentary election with very low voter turnout following Said's dissolution of the previous parliament and dismissal of the government in 2021. Saied has since ruled by decree, moves the opposition has described as a coup. Most opposition leaders and some journalists and critics of Saied have been imprisoned since he seized control of most powers in 2021. The African Union Commission chairperson Mahmoud Ali Yusuf says the continental body will continue to support Madagascar. He has received a briefing from his special envoy in Madagascar, Mohamed Idris Farah, in Addis Ababa. The island nation plunged into a political crisis after it had a coup last year. Kaeli Kumalo has the story.
Ambassador Idris Farah says there has been progress on the situation in Madagascar. He told the AU boss Mahmoud Ali Yusuf that authorities in Antananarivo are committed to push for an inclusive, credible political dialogue and reported encouraging economic indicators in the island nation. The AU chief Yusuf has reaffirmed the continental body's principal approach to political transition and respect for Madagascar-led solution.
South Africa's Health Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi has raised concern that many people diagnosed with cervical cancer still lose their lives even though it is preventable. With over 10,000 new cases diagnosed each year, close to 6,000 women die from cervical cancer annually in South Africa. Motsoaledi says awareness and early detection can prevent deaths. He was speaking at an event to mark World Health Cancer Day in Johannesburg.
The cervical cancer have got a very high mortality. Cancer is our new pandemic. It's going to be our new HIV or our new COVID-19. There's no question about that. Around the whole world, cancer is spreading like wildfire, and it's going to be much more difficult and that's to fight than HIV itself, because with cancer, once you are in stage 3 and 4, it's very difficult. So we want that awareness. We want people to know that cancers that can be eliminated, like cervical cancer.
The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has expressed concern about the deteriorating situation in Cuba and warned that there could be a humanitarian collapse if the country's oil needs remain unmet. US President Donald Trump announced this week that Mexico would stop sending oil to Cuba as part of a ramped-up pressure campaign against the Caribbean nation. Cuba's oil supply cut followed Washington's military ouster of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. Guterres spokesperson Stephen Dujarric says they are in touch with the Cuban government to see how the UN might be able to mitigate a worst-case scenario.
The Secretary General is extremely concerned about the humanitarian situation in Cuba, which will worsen, if not collapse, if its oil needs go unmet. He notes that for more than 3 decades, the General Assembly has consistently called for an end to the embargo imposed by the United States on Cuba. The Secretary General urges all parties to pursue dialogue and respect for international law. We've seen the statement put out by the U.S. authorities on Friday. We're seeing the impact of the oil embargo. We have a resident coordinator, and our UN colleagues on the ground are seeing what the situation is.
Recapping the top story, the SAWA Zimbabwe's ex-president Robert Mugabe may have had financial ties with Jeffrey Epstein, according to the latest batch of files related to the convicted US sex offender. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Mwepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective. Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. On the Move with Benjamin and Palisa every weekday on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
The second hour of On the Move here on Channel Africa. Join us on channelafrica.co.za, the Channel Africa app, and our audio bouquets at DSTV 802 and OpenView HD channel 628. We're unpacking silence, and silence in a way that isn't particularly beneficial or hasn't been beneficial to us over time. We'll be hanging out with an author who, through her own life story, helps you and takes your hand through your own journaling experience of speaking the things that have been unspeakable to your life and reframing the cost of remaining silent. We're looking forward to that conversation. It's our Becoming feature.
Hey, you can be part of the conversations. We'd love to hear from you. And the best way is to holler at us via our WhatsApp number. We've got a new WhatsApp number that's there for you. So save it on your phone, and anytime you can hang out with us right here on Channel Africa. You can ask questions, you can inquire, you can also poke fun at us if you want to. Whatever you want to do to connect with us right here on Channel Africa, use that WhatsApp number +27 83 288 6684, and let's engage. Hey, that's the Kenyan outfit, Sauti Soul, with one titled By the River. Hey, let's talk. Let's create that atmosphere of the river, right? You know, the river always brings people together. That's where we get the source of energy. As Africans, that's where we get our rejuvenation. Hope that we are rejuvenating you here, right here on The Move. Hey?
So this is the river.
This is the river.
Come to the river.
Come to the river. Let's drink together.
Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you will be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palisa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
What is the cost of remaining silent? That's the conversation we're having in today's Becoming feature, because sometimes silence can carry our heartaches, it carries our truths, and sometimes we're never taught to speak about it out loud. We're speaking to Marothi Kutu, who is an author, an executive producer, and creative force whose work is rooted in honest, unfiltered storytelling. Her debut book is titled The Things We Do Not Talk About, and and it explores silence not as absence, but as something that shapes identity, relationships, and selfhood, particularly for Black women navigating life's complexities. Marothi joins us on the line. Thank you so much for your time, Marothi. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You know, just before the break, as we were, looking forward to your conversation, I was picking up research that I had read somewhere about the cost of silence. In fact, there is a term that's called self-silencing that is particularly common amongst women due to societal norms of being agreeable, being caretakers, and having that emotional restraint. And that particularly study speaks about how us remaining silent actually contributes to higher risks of psychological disorders like depression and anxiety. And over that, it also elevates the risks of the rates of chronic illnesses like autoimmune diseases, cardiovascular problems, and chronic fatigue. So this is a huge cost, it sounds, for our silence, isn't it?
It is indeed. And when you think about it, it's not a position that women choose to be in. We are conditioned, we are groomed from an early age. That's how women should just be. You should be strong. You should be carrying on the weight of the shoulder. You are conditioned to be everything to everyone and nothing to yourself.
Let's speak about your own silences that obviously moved you towards speaking out through this particular book. What shaped this and what motivated it?
The motivation for this book really was to create a sisterhood. It's something that I also felt that I need in my life, because as much as we can be honest with the women in our lives, sometimes we self-silence. We keep some things away from them. So the book for me was creating a safe space to say, women, come as you are. You are safe, you are seen, you are heard.
That's powerful, right? I mean, on what level do you start unpacking a book like this? Because there are so many things that women are silent about. For you personally, where did you start?
For me, the silence came after losing my sister. And for a very long time, I was going through all sorts of emotional challenges and mental challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what was going on with me until I think about 2 years after losing my sister. I went and sought help, and my psychologist was like, you have been living with anxiety and depression actually way before I even lost my sister.
Wow.
So imagine, had I not lost my sister, I probably would have thought everything that's happening around me was normal, was okay, because the main reason I went to a psychologist was to address the grief, only to find that there's many other issues that had been building up, and I had reached a point where I wasn't coping anymore and I needed help.
Marothi, that speaking exercise of sitting with someone and telling them things that you wouldn't normally say to anyone, what did that do for you personally?
Sure. I went in with an open mind, and I'm glad I did, because I didn't know what to expect. Talking to someone whom I felt would not be judgmental to my situation, to how I was feeling, it was liberating. It gave me room to really go within and to dig and find out, who am I, outside of these expectations, outside of everything that I am going through as a daughter, as a mom, as a professional that I am.
You know, there's a reason why you spoke about judgmental in the first place, right? Because the reason why so many people, so many women in particular, remain silent is because we often feel like we're going to be judged by society if we say the things that are actually in our minds that we want to say. And the truth is, society hasn't been rewarding women who speak out in so many forms. We're taught exactly to do that, right? To be there for people without complaining too much, to show up in spaces, caretake for others without complaint, and to hold back the things that aren't so pretty and keep those to ourselves. But there's so many unpretty things that are happening in our society that most of us are bottling in. As you start your journey of speaking out, why was it important for you to share this with the rest of us? Because your book isn't just a self-help book. It really is an account of your journey, but also a way for other people to put down their journey with yours.
For me, I wanted to offer fellow women perspective. The affirmations in the book are also a prompt for one to sit down and ask themselves the hard questions that they wouldn't ordinarily be asking themselves. For me, in a way, I am forcing women to sit down, to take a pause, and really be selfish and focus on themselves for a change.
And, you know, that is probably a process that is going to need a lot of vulnerability. And I think that's the starting point. And the vulnerabilities are not easy to come to a point where you express them, right? Because society says vulnerability means weakness. And how was it for you to be that vulnerable, open yourself up in this book? Because to a large extent, you're also saying to others, let's do this together. Let's be vulnerable.
Let me tell you, there were some chapters where I would write and stop because it was getting too real for me. It was getting too raw for me. But then as I went back and got into the process of writing, it got easier. It takes me back to a time where I had to make decisions in my life that would affect my lifestyle. And I was more anxious before I made those decisions to say, you know what, I need to let go of this car. I need to do some adjustments because, you know, who wasn't hit by COVID? Mm-hmm. And when I made those decisions, I felt so free. I felt like I could breathe now. I wasn't suffocated. Mm-hmm. And being vulnerable, it gives you the strength to stand up, take ownership of the decisions that you are making and say, you know what, I am here, I am okay with this decision.
Marothi, we're going to take a break. Stay with us on the line. We're speaking about her book that's titled The Things We Do Not Talk About, but more so the conversation is on the cost of remaining silent and how we can break free from that silencing that we do to ourselves and those done to us by society.
Africa at Play with Neto and ETO Chemane.
Lelintle, talk to us about your relationship with your father, Coach Pitso. What is this one thing that he said to you that is still stuck at the top of your head?
Coach Pitso and our Moya Kakale have always told us that whatever we do in life, we must do it to the best of our abilities and, you know, represent our family well. But the big thing is do what you love and do it with all the passion that you can, that you have. And I think we see it in both their work. I mean, my mom has done a really good job with, you know, placing Coach Pitso in different clubs around the world, and she's negotiated contracts, and she's showing that as a woman you can also do work that is seen, and you can also get respect from men in a male-dominated space. And I think my dad has also shown that you know, you must never underestimate the Black African man.
Lelintle Mosimane, a South African communications and digital media professional. Lelintle is also a daughter to a great mentor when it comes to the game of football, Coach Jingles Mosimane.
Live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Across Africa, communities rise with the promise of clean water and clean sanitation. The African Union's 2026 theme calls us to action.
It's about mobilizing clear commitments, securing climate-resilient water and sanitation projects, and ensuring that water becomes a driver of sustainable development and prosperity across the continent.
A landmark moment, not only for Africa, but for the global movement for access to safe water for all.
Assuring sustainable water availability for every home, every village, every nation. This is the Africa we want.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushatama.
22 minutes past 10 o'clock Central African Time. This is On the Move, you with myself, Benjamin Mushatama and Palisa Tau. In our becoming feature today, we're unpacking silences women carry around identity, healing, relationships, and the quiet pressures of becoming through Marothi's life story. Marothi's got a very powerful book titled The Things We Do Not Talk About. And we don't talk about these things, Marothi, because sometimes these things that we don't talk about are shrouded in our personal shame. And you spoke a bit about that there's that comparison to others, that what will people say if I actually come out and say, I'm letting certain things go, I'm changing my lifestyle, or there are things that I need to speak about that I'm also uncomfortable unearthing, right? So how do you deal with that shame when you do want to actually come out and say, this is what I'm going through?
So I don't think one can be shamed for something that they do not feel they are shameful of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important. You need to be self-aware. You need to be honest with yourself. You cannot live your life based on other people's expectations or societal standards. Once you live on your own lane, and once you know this is what I want in life, no one can shake you, no one can shake your decisions and your beliefs. So it's very important to be self-aware, to know who you are, to know what you want in life and how you're going to go about it, because you will have the strength, you will have the courage to do whatever it takes to reach your goal, despite what anyone else may think.
Well, let's go through the book. It's an interesting one because I looked at it briefly, and it's not just words on the page where you tell your story. It is that is part of the book, but there are pages where we can write and journal ourselves. Why did you bring in that element of the book being interactive, where through your journey we can also start journaling and going through the process of starting to speak out as you're reading the book?
Those pages for me offer perspective. The prompts are really to nudge the reader to say, this is your space to also tell your story, to reflect on what you've been through, and to think about what you want in life. The book wasn't about me. I think the book is more about every other woman that's out there, so that they do not feel alone.
And what do you want to do with this book? Because I think it offers so many opportunities, Marothi, in terms of maybe getting women in the same room and engaging in different topics. Is that something that you envision for the possibility that you can do with this book? Because it actually paves way for you to do something even in the context of an event.
Definitely, that's something I am considering to do in future, because I think the book is a validation of who we want to become as women. The strong Black women phenomena, we are doing away with it. We are redefining it on our terms. And it's important for us as women to sit under the same room and have these discussions.
All right, where can we go to find your book? But also, are there other interactions outside of the book that you're having to engage in conversation and to, you know, create other avenues and platforms to speak up?
So the book recently just came out. It's been nearly 2 months now. So a lot of the work is only starting to come together now. So people should look out for my social media. I've got a website, www.mskutu.za. People can go there to buy the book, to find out more about me. The book is also available on Amazon and Take-A-Lot.
Fantastic. Thank you for having this conversation with us. And congratulations on your book. And I'm sure it will create a lot of conversations wherever you take it with you, Marothi. Thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Thank you so much.
That's Marothi Kutu, who is the author of The Things We Do Not Talk About. Are there things that you don't talk about? Are you bottling it all in? Palisa was saying that, hey, this actually affects us physically, our health, if we don't talk about certain things indeed. Let us know on our WhatsApp number what you think on that one.